understanding the power dynamic is really important because you can end up having more power than your manager depending on the position that you're in. For example,
welcome to the world's best podcast with a Samuel Grantson and a Lewis Facey. This is our new world order. A lot is changing. You know, America's changing, and so do we. We move forward and upwards. Make the podcast evolve great again. That's the new intro. As you can tell, I'm introducing this episode, and that's when you know the world has completely gone to crap. When Lewis lets me kick this off. Now, before we actually jump into what the episode's all about today, I'm just going to jump right in and just say what it's about. And it is about persuasion. And I have somehow persuaded Lewis into letting me intro this. So clearly I am a persuading mastermind. I am a genius. Now, what we usually do is we jump in, we'll talk about our week so far for those who are new to this, because quite clearly you've only found out about us since I stepped up my marketing and I actually started posting consistently. I believe this will be the 4th week straight. Give me my flowers, Lewis.
here your flowers, sir.
Thank you. Welcome to what is hopefully the future of your new quest for knowledge through us. We're here to help you grow. We're here to help you evolve, and we hope that we do the same whilst we present ourselves on camera. Now, waffle is over, Lewis. Tell me about your week. How have you been?
Week's been good, man. Got back from a nice wintry weekend in Oslo. For Rosie's birthday. That was last week. So yeah, no, it's been good, man.
Still, that's a question. Why do people go to cold places in winter? Why do you go to cold places in the winter?
It wasn't my request. It was Rosie's request.
Okay, that makes sense.
Do you understand?
Fair enough. Yeah, I get it. Say no. Say no.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed. But most importantly, Rosie enjoyed. So
that's what matters, because at the end of it, you had a debate and you realized she was right. And that's
no, it wasn't a debate. I was just like, pick where you want to go for your birthday. She was like, oh, the snowy, wintry weekend. And I was like, all right, where do you want to go? She was like, Oslo. And I was like, cool. But done. So,
because man's got it like that.
It's just like, yes,
let's go.
Yeah, that is within reason. But yeah, within a 2-hour flight radius, I was like, yeah, I was like, let's not take the piss. Within reason.
Fair enough. What else has been happening, dude? What's work, life, business? What's going on?
Work's been good. Honestly, I feel like the move is like taking over my brain, and I've got like 2 weeks left until that's all kind of sorted. But then I need to kind of like get fully focused on like the rest of like the year. At the moment, it's the half marathon training, settling in work and getting to grips with that, and yeah, moving. So I don't feel like I'm like an expert in anything at the moment. I feel like I'm just like, I feel like I've been refreshed completely, which is good, but it's like I don't feel like I have a solid base in a lot of areas at the moment. And I've got to learn DaVinci Resolve because I'm helping out on this short film as well. So I've basically just been like a fresh new student in everything. So I just kind of need to figure out a load of stuff, and I'm trying to not let it stress me out. I like feeling like I know my shit, and at the moment it's like I'm forever learning shit. But it's good because that's good for me. It helps for growth, and you know. But I think at the moment I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing in a lot of areas, but I feel like that's normal. But I don't like it.
Everything is learning, though, isn't it? You're on that.
Yeah,
you're on that quest for knowledge.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, when you're learning, when you have like a good foundation of understanding, and then you continue learning. It's like I know nothing at the moment, and that's kind of where I feel like I'm at, which is good. But
yeah,
I'm like eager to like feel like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. But at the moment, I'm literally like just figuring out a bunch of shit as I go along.
Fair enough. That sounds similar to your approach you applied to when you were learning like Premiere Pro and all that. Yeah, like you got the shortcuts in, and I feel like you kind of locked that in eventually, didn't you? You kind of got
so it took a while to learn all that stuff, and now it's like, oh yeah, don't want to use Premiere Pro. I need you to do it in this. And I'm like, I don't want to. I'm gonna just got good at Premiere Pro. So that I understand it's part of the process, but it's just long. So
You get there, man.
yeah,
Get there.
yeah.
Get
But
there.
that's it with me. How about you? How are things?
My week has been average. It's been average. No, and I did want to join and kind of have this whole like, whoa, this is happening, that's happened. But no, this week has been actually relatively chilled. Been picking, it's only realistically, it's probably because we usually record on, my camera's on blurry. Focus. Will it focus? It'll focus eventually. Sorry about that. It's usually because we record on Thursdays, and I usually maybe my week just gets dramatic on Wednesdays, and then I have everything to spill on the Thursday. But so far, it's been quite chilled, actually. I've become quite comfortable with the travel my work requires from me. Although I know that people I work with are watching this, that doesn't mean I want to do it all the time. Okay. There is limits to it. I will do my up to 4 days a month. Leave me alone after that. But in general, yeah, my week has been all right. It's been good in terms of training. I've been on it again. I've been really focused actually lately on trying not to moan as much, if that makes sense.
So in regards to the training, or like in general?
In general in life, because I find that I'm actually quite sensitive to discomfort. And that's probably why I work so hard to become like good at so many things. Is because I don't want to be in a position where I'm like uncomfortable and stressed because I can't do something. That might be it. That might be not. I might just be throwing assumptions together because it makes sense right now. Could be the case as well. Either way, I'm trying to become a bit more hardened to sudden discomfort, more physical discomfort more than anything. And that definitely leans more into training stuff. But I do find that when I'm really stressed, there's a sense of physical discomfort that comes to play. And that's my usual alert, slow down and everything. And I want to be in a position where me taking a break and me taking a rest is more of a scheduled behavior rather than a reaction to me feeling some kind of stress or pain. And I also want to be in a position where I can push past my limits like I used to be able to, but a bit better. And at the moment, it's been a bit tough. Like I'll go to training and I'll start a session and straight away I'll be like, oh, my muscle aches because I went to the gym on Wednesday and that's going to affect my training today. And I just come to realize that kind of mindset just sets up a really crap session for the whole day. I'll be
really
like
does.
an hour and a half and I'll turn off and I'll just be like, oh, I'm in so much pain. And I could just see my coach, like Lee's face, just be like, shut up. Like, you went to the gym. So what? I'll be like, oh, I've done like a 17-hour shift at work today. And you just be like, so what? And then what really puts it into perspective is sometimes we have like younger people in the gym or older people in the gym, but people who actually have more physical jobs, like they're electricians, they're plumbers, they're builders and all this stuff. We all train at the same place. Some of them have done like 18-hour shifts on one day and then they've traveled somewhere else to do another 18-hour, and like they're barely resting and all these things. And I'm here complaining because I've been sat at my desk for 12 hours straight. And I respect that it's different levels of that burnout, right? Theirs is like physical, mine might be more mental. But either way, people can get it done. Like, I can't push past it. So I've been really focused on just developing a bit more grit. And part of that comes with taking a rest, so I can resting up so I can actually tackle the world. But approaching it with resting doesn't mean sit on my ass and play Xbox all day. Resting could be active resting, go for a walk, do something that's mindful actively, like sit there, meditate, all these things, not just do something that probably still requires mental capacity, but because it's fun, I'm considering it as rest. So an intense Call of Duty session where I'm trying to unlock diamond on my assault rifles maybe isn't restful, especially when I'm also battling 12-year-olds that are cussing me out and I'm trying to cuss them out and their whole generation. And maybe when I go to bed after that and I'm feeling a bit stressed, it might be because I've just sat in a God knows how many hour session with a bunch of ingrates. As you can tell, I'm still upset.
Yeah. Do you?
But yeah, that's fine.
How do you find the month of January? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, Sam. I'm in such a can't be fucked mood. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was gonna be like, yeah, like, something good. I'll just say,
Yeah.
I'm gonna redo my week. Sam, I can't be fast. Can't be fast. Me off. These lies.
We've got so our head of products who works Bionic, his name's Ollie, and every Monday, all the product managers would do an update to basically say what we're going, what we plan to do in the week, which is a really good way to like hold everyone accountable for the stuff they were doing and everything. But I think Monday was Blue Monday or something, one of the saddest days of the year, and it's related to not being able to achieve your goals, kind of missing the mark on a few things. And he basically said in the thing, he added a new line, which basically it's Blue Monday. Say something that will cheer you up or cheers you up and could cheer other people up essentially. And it doesn't have to be work related. And what I remembered was after December 21st, every day gets longer, as in the actual amount of sunlight gets longer and longer up to the midpoint in summer. So it literally gets better and better in terms of the amount of daylight, the amount of sunshine, the amount of joy you'll get out of your day. There's more opportunities to do it before it gets dark and gloomy. And seeing that, she puts a different perspective to January. It's kind of that turn of, yeah, things are crap now, but it gets better. And it's kind of convincing yourself, or, you know, based on the episode today, persuading yourself to see things in more of a positive light.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind January now because I don't know, maybe life's a bit better. I've got a house,
true.
I've got a car, all these
Yeah,
things. But
that's
when I look
true.
back at uni time in January and everything's cold and oh no, it's different. That was just
Yeah.
different. So yeah.
I just find it so long, and I'm just like, oh, I need to do this, and I'm just like, and I don't know if it's got to do with last year being so hard that I now just my motivation is just, I feel my drive being like so low at the moment when I really having to like force myself to like give a shit, and it's like it's so like such an active thought at the moment. So
Do you feel like you've hit a few success points in life now that you feel the need to like take a bow? Do you feel like you've got to some
no, that's the thing,
because
because
I
there's
get
so much
sometimes.
because there's so much that needs to be done, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. It's there's like a weird sort of like drive slump, and I don't know if it's like the month of January, but I don't know. Maybe I need to look into it because maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's too much going on.
Gym, dude. You need
The thing is,
to be asked back in the gym.
I've been running. I've been doing all these things. I'm just like,
I don't know
I
that
don't know.
guy. I don't know. You go to constant session. See what
I
does
don't know.
Constant have to
That's gonna
say?
start again next Monday because
Oh, did you take quite a break from it?
I took a break from for the month of January.
Okay.
It was next week. Maybe that's something that
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe
claim
we
it's
should
like
bring it up and
yeah. That's straight out a lot to talk to her.
we don't want to
But
risk in life.
but I'm just
I
like
need you, Lewis.
I know that
I
I'm
get
just like,
that.
well, these can't be asked with work. Sometimes I just want to do my 9 to 5 and then just chill without feeling guilty. Do you know what I mean?
Bro, I feel that
And
sometimes. I feel
that's
that.
genuinely the mood I'm in at the
I
moment.
feel that. Yeah,
That's genuinely the mood I'm in at the moment,
I feel that.
and it's just
I as soon as it goes 5:30, I'm not starting a meeting. I'm
yeah,
switching off, and I've been fully embracing that. I will say, let's transition into what we're about today about persuasion. I will say that I did do a bit more last minute research, but it was good research, and I'm glad I started doing it. So, is it Robert, the guy who wrote the 48
Robert Greene,
powers, or yeah, laws of power? Robert Greening or Green
Robert Greene.
Green? Okay, he's got a podcast. Well, he's got this weird like short form podcasting on
Okay,
Spotify. It's like loads of like summaries of his book or loads of summaries of his like life points. He summarized it into like 4 or 5 minute, sometimes 10-minute speeches in a podcast. I was listening to it today. And one of the things he was touching on was like, he summarized the book, The 48 Laws of Power. He kind of summarized it in 8 minutes. And effectively, what I took from it was in life, if you want to achieve something, if you want to get somewhere, you don't have to let everyone know your next move. You don't have to be open and transparent just because you get along with people, just because you want to achieve something. But the main part of it as well is like, once you get your wins, just enjoying it and being clear on what your goals are. That's kind of the summaries I've got from what you said, and also from what I've learned now. I'm actually officially listening to the book. Is that
Mm.
life is about winning for most people, and I don't know if in our goal to persuade people to do better in life through our podcast, I don't know if we've exposed ourselves so much that the enemy can see and work against us. Do you get what I mean? Like, have we given away too much sauce to a point where everyone knows our plan and sometimes it works against us and the universe works against us? And that's something, before we dive into everything about persuasion, I wanted to kind of kick off with that is, do we talk too much and do we make it hard for us to actually sell our goals? And do you think this pod has benefited you or not?
I think the pod is benefited. I don't think I have enemies. I think I can't think in that way. I can't think that there's just always people who are out to get me, because
Yeah.
I'm sure other people have better things to do as well. And maybe that's naivety, or is it ignorant bliss? I don't know.
Probably not.
But like, I don't think I've exposed like any sort of like, I don't know, weaknesses. I mean, if someone really wants to come after me, I mean, like, they can use whatever. But like, I don't think I've done anything to make someone be against me for some reason and want to use the pod against me and like ruin my career. Because like they don't need to. And also, I'm a big believer in karma, that if anyone did try and come after me, that it's like, I don't have to do anything. Like, the universe will take care of it for me. So, I don't know. I think it's benefit. And also, it's like, I don't want to like live in fear of like consequence or something that I haven't even done. I don't think I've done anything that serves anyone to come after me anyway. And like, like we said, like, we have to post without giving a shit in order to get it done. So I don't think we should have to really think about what people think and like, oh, have we exposed ourselves too much? Because that just adds another layer of stress that I can't be fucked to give. And and I think social media, there's worse people out there than us. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm sure we're fine. So
100%.
I just kind of think about it in that way. I mean, we're giving advice to people. I think we're doing a good thing. I don't think it will harm us to be doing good if people use that to like, say, go for a job that I'm after and get a job over me or whatever. Like, cool. That's actually, and if it's like, oh, it's as a result of the things that you said, I'll be like, fair. You know what I mean? I'd rather they get it from me than somebody else. So if I'd rather be the creator of my own demise than it come from somebody else.
True. Fair enough.
So
True.
I don't know. Sounds good. I'm thinking about it.
Well, I think one of the things I recall is, obviously I told you about how I know my manager listens to Eps, and he actually was saying that it played into him learning more about me, my character. And it did actually play into his decision making for bringing me onto the role. And I always do wonder, it's just like, fair enough. And then it made me think, what have I said on this pod? What have I said that could also undo the greatness?
I hate
And it did, to a degree, make me a bit paranoid as to what we say for a short period. But I would say that because I ramble on and waffle so much, I easily forget I forget the self-control I need to implement in what I say sometimes. And I just say things from the chest, and you'll probably call me out if I said anything bad. But long story short, what I'm trying to get to is, we're very open and transparent. And I think law 3 of the 48 laws of power, I believe, is concealing your intentions. And in many ways, I see that book as a guide towards persuasion, a guide towards getting people to do what you want. Because although it's about the laws of power, and a lot of it is about, being the dominant person in a space and being respected and how to, garden that respect from others and everything. A good proportion of it is about basically getting people to do what you want. And in many ways, there's convincing and then there's persuading. I think convincing is just getting people to actually believe in what you say. But I see persuading is getting people to do something.
Yeah, it comes with like an action.
It comes with an action.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the power play comes in. I can convince you to believe something and you'd be like, okay, cool, but nothing else will come off it. You just believe it and that's it, right? If I persuade you to do something off the back of it, then there's an influence of my behavior on yours to get you to do something. And that's where power plays a role. And power is one way to convince people to do something in terms of being aggressive in their requests that you make to them. But in general, it's that exploration on my part of the different ways I can basically get someone to do an action. And I would say it plays, I don't know about you, but the idea of persuasion, I think the power dynamic in general plays a massive role in my career. As it played a role in my career as a salesperson, it's played a considerable amount of role in my career as a product manager, because ultimately I'm trying to gear users into doing certain things that they might not thought of doing, but I've got to gear them into doing it in the way I've presented it through the product or service that I manage. And there is an element of, yes, I'm persuading people to do it, but I guess sometimes I also feel a bit guilty because I feel like I've coerced people into doing something. But I'm kind of going on a tangent then. I want to come back to that point. What I really want to ask you is, do you feel like you have to conceal certain elements of your behavior to persuade people to do actions in your job role or in your business?
Not conceal my intentions, no. However, I think it's not conceal. I think it's more like how you shape it. So I think the more moral persuasion book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I don't know if you've ever come across that. And
Side of it.
basically, for what I gathered from the book, and I read this a while ago, is, and this is something which I have taken forward to convince people, I would say more so than persuade, is you have to understand what they desire, like what they want and what makes them tick, like what are the things that they care about. And in addition to that, your likability plays a factor into it as well. Like how much do they like you, or how much do the people that they like you? In addition to that, understanding the power dynamic is really important, because you can end up having more power than your manager depending on the position that you're in. Because, for example, if your manager is known for being a bad manager and you're looking for a different opportunity, even though they're more senior than you, and they might necessarily have they clearly have a skill gap of some kind, you can leverage that to your advantage, because your manager is going to be like, oh, right, if they leave, I look bad, as opposed to, oh, if I get fired, I look bad. It's actually like, no. So power dynamics aren't so clear cut in your job role. I've mentioned this before, like in regards to salespeople. Now, salespeople, depending on the company you're in, are like the superstars in the company, and like everyone kisses ass, right?
It always goes to that.
However, you need to make your salesperson understand that once they sell that campaign, it's handed off to other people to deliver. And if it doesn't deliver, that affects your future income. It's short-term versus long-term gratification. So when your sales problem has a person, and let's say there's 10 of you, and there's one of me in the ops side of things, if 10 of you are asking something of me, but 8 of you are dicks, and 2 of you are really nice to me, who then holds the power now? Right? And so how I work with my salespeople is that when there's a problem to me, you got to shift it. You got to shift it so that it's you two against a problem, as opposed to them seeing you as the problem. And me will probably have to be in the more stoic, more emotionally mature position to understand that, and being responsive as opposed to reactive. So I'll let them know they cross a boundary. If they cross a boundary, I'd be like, okay, here's how we're actually going to solve it, because I'm not the problem. This is the problem. We can work both towards this problem and solve it. And there's 2 ways that will go. One, we solve it together and we build a good friendship relationship off of that going forward. Or they resist, they try and go over my head. They'll be like, okay, cool. And I just make your life difficult because I now know I can. So those are usually the only routes that I will go. And I've worked with a number of people in my past role, and they usually only go into those two categories. And the categories which they're kind of being a dick, everybody knows about it, and they're not being favored. And the industry, no matter what industry you're in, is very, very small. And word gets around. Like, I've told you stories of how, people are going from jobs from here to the US and they know that they're a dick. Like, everybody knows each other, particularly in a VP window, because that
Yeah.
pool is a lot
Smaller
shorter.
space, yeah.
So I, as opposed to trying to see see this person has a problem or they're giving me problems, I basically try and persuade them to my way of thinking. And this is what I did this is what I've started doing in my current role is I met with each individual salesperson just to get to know them better, how I basically try to convince them my way of thinking is I basically set up the meeting only for like 15 minutes as well. I basically I understand that you're, got all these problems and, you're very busy. And so you do a bit of that and you go, I want to work with you to make your life easier. How can I make your role easier and everything like that? And that's how I set the foundation of I showed them respect, which they like because they seem complimented that I'm trying to help you, as opposed to I won't want you to piss me off. So this is what we're going to do in order to make my life easier. That's actually what the meeting's for. It's not, I don't care about making your life easier. I want to make my life easier. But I'm going to frame it in that way. So you feel respected and complimented. And also you feel like I'm going to get your stuff done on time. So that's how I persuade them to, oh, let's do a 15-minute check-in and, so I can help you. And I make you understand the need of what I'm saying, like it's benefiting you, but it's actually benefiting me way more. And it's probably a win-win for both of us, but it's more so a win for me. So finding win-wins, even though it's more of a win for you, but you frame it as a win for them, is a way to persuade. And that's how you kind of do that that's how I tend to do that with people, as opposed to win-lose. Like, I'm not going to try and convince you of something to try and intentionally screw you over. I'm trying to get my win whilst trying to identify a win for you as well. But it's a win that I actually don't care about. Do you see what I mean?
I see what you mean. You do, in so many ways, you do conceal your intentions. Because there is. And what, I guess why I took, maybe you took the how to win friends and influence people route. I took the 48 laws of power route toward my learnings for persuasion. And I guess I took the typical aggressive, quick, what I thought was, the quick, powerful route. And you took the mind games, manipulative, friendly route.
Yeah.
But I guess they both are mind games, manipulative. One's just more aggressive than the other. And the reason I took my route is maybe me being more of an anxious person, I look out for enemies more than I look out for friends. And because of that, I kind of just keep it a buck with everyone. I give everyone the opportunity to be my friend, expecting them to fail. And as soon as they do fail to kind of be my friend, I'm very quick to kind of put them in the box that I believe they belong in and leave them there in my head. And then the walls go up and the games get played. That's basically me from then on.
What I do, and this is very true, is look out for the friendly people at work.
Yeah.
Who bitch to you about other work people, because
100%.
they will 100% about you to other people. And there's a person who I used to work with who would sometimes be a little bit meh with me. And then when she found out where I was moving, she got friendly with me, or tried to. And bear in mind, since I'm leaving, I'm like the void. I'm the vacuum where people can now say shit to me and I just take it with me.
Yeah.
And everyone hates this person. They have no idea, but everyone knows what this person's doing, and they do not like her at all. And I know for a fact that she's 100% said shit about me, and then been nice to my face, and then said more shit about other people.
Yeah.
Because she knows.
I used to work for a guy like that, so I know what you're talking about.
And she's going to continue to say like niceties to me, and she did, like, even on my last day. But I know she's saying that because she now sees me as a route out, because I know she's not happy in her role also. So
Yeah.
I fully understand when people like message me out the blue, like, oh my God.
It's like, I'm not guilty. You're not following me to my happy place. That's not
the shit. Yeah, I'm leaving because you're a contributing factor. Like, no.
so true.
Like,
It's so true.
why
It's
am I
very true.
taking you with me?
Yeah.
Something did actually really funny happen the other week, and this is a bit of a funny story for you. And it'll make you laugh. This is nothing to do with the topic, but 1 minute story. So, my new office is like a few hundred meters away from my old office, and I was walking to the tube because I have to walk past my old office to get to the tube. And traffic lights like either side goes green. Walking in the middle of the road, and I see my old boss.
Oh, awkward.
And this is the worst part. It wasn't just like seeing my boss. I could have handled that. It's basically because there was another director there who I really get on with. And so I saw her, but she was walking next to my boss. And I was like, oh my God, hi. And then my manager looked at me and did the classic, like, you know, when you see someone that you don't want to see, like, I just made really awful eye contact with you. She's like, how are you? And bear in mind, this is the middle of the road and it's just turned red. And I'm like, yeah, good. And then I just ran across the road. And I messaged her being like, I'm so sorry. I was so thrown off and like socially dumb. And she was like, it's okay. I was like, I didn't know what to do. And you know, like you replay a moment over in your head like 50 times, like in the next 5 minutes. And I was like, and the thing is, the more I replay it, the more dumb I think I looked. And I was like, yeah, I was caught so off guard. And I was just like, I want to bury myself in the hole in that moment.
If I could,
And I just didn't even acknowledge my old boss at all. I was like, and then just, it was so bad.
let's rewind it. Let's rewind it to you're such an idiot.
So bad.
Let's rewind it to
So
what you just mentioned actually about that person and the lady who I guess you don't get along with anymore. A lot of people in the office don't get along with. She seems like the kind of person to say stuff behind your back, wouldn't say it to your face. That kind of behavior. And that I think is, if you're trying to sell something to someone, like you've said, like you've just said, and I think we all agree to, if you're trying to sell something to someone, in many ways, you don't try to reveal your intentions straight away because it doesn't come off as genuine. You want to basically persuade something into believing what you believe in, but for them to think it was their idea to believe in it rather than to feel coerced and tricked, because humans naturally hate. You naturally hate feeling like the dumb person in the room. And if someone's coming to sell something to you, I think the natural reaction is to think they need you more than you need them because they need you to buy something from them. So there's a power play where you naturally want to feel like the smart person for making a smart choice for yourself rather than coerced into making a choice, because then it feels like you didn't make the choice for your own good. You made the choice because someone else talked you into doing it. And that makes you want to buy into the idea. Now, if someone is to do this and then you find out that they're dishonest, do you think it has a massive impact on their ability to sell an idea or something to you in the future? So, for example, if she came up to you with like a really huge opportunity, would you hear her out?
No.
And I think that's an important thing to. If you've got pen and paper, make a note of that. It's like your brand can die, your ability to sway can die if you say just about it.
Yeah, honestly, like yeah, I actually wouldn't, because
Yeah.
for me, and I've said this multiple times, my peace of mind is too expensive. And it's been compromised for so long. And she could say, they could say like, oh, Lewis, I have this opportunity for you to da 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 da, and it's going to cost you like 2 years doing this.
Yep.
Da 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 da. I'll be like, nah, because my peace of mind has consequences on other people who I do care about, right? Because now I'm moving in with Rosie. Rosie got to deal with me when I'm in a shit mood. So, and she dealt with that for far too long. And I'm like, I'm not putting her through that because I know how much of a pain in the arse I was to be around. So, no, no, absolutely not. And I think, yeah, that's really important. Like, your brand is very easy to fuck up, like within seconds. It takes years to build, seconds to fuck up.
Easy, yeah,
100%.
100%.
You can't,
And it's so much effort to.
but you got to change industry. It's not a change your job. Because
even then, if you know people like us who've got podcasts and who've got the ears of many, even changing industries might not save you. Even you've got to realize the impact of your actions, to be honest. And that's something I sit down and talk to Luke about, because obviously his brand is very it's different. his brand is 100% concealing your intentions and just throw yourself under a bus with an ulterior motive. And in many ways, I always sit down and talk to him. He's just like, if you want to transition into like us in a business together, you've got to clean this up. You've got to do better for people. And he's in many ways making notes of like, how can you do it better? But in the back of my mind, in general, for him and for many people like him, I guess, it's like there is a point of no return. There is a point where it's like you've got to embrace it. And that's when you've kind of got to look at yourself and think, this has to be who I am now. Because whether you like it or not, that's how the world will see you. And the only way you can probably do a turnaround is become Mr. Beast and just give away everything for God knows how long before people then start liking you. But if you do that, then I think you've just got one more life, one more screw up, and then it's over. No one ever trusts you again. It's dead. And for me, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth being so coercive for the little win, the little financial win that I'd get, or the little win I'd get of feeling more powerful, more dominant than someone. I don't think it's worth being so coercive that it becomes such an expensive mistake to fix. Does that make sense? And as much as I was reading the 48 Laws of Power, and as much as I'm looking forward to learning about the other 45 laws, that I'm not going to lie, he spends like 20 minutes with each law. There's a whole
story the same. I'm not going to lie.
I hear the law, I get my one example, and I skip to the next one. That's what I'm doing.
I think
because
that's about it. There's a summarized version. There's a lot smaller version.
Yeah, no, he's got a pod that is a summarized version. But I was listening to it, and I feel like he just jumped straight from one to like law 45, and I was just like, oh, hold on a minute. I was like, there's 40, at least 40 other ones you skipped now. But which goes to show it's all quite similar. Anyway, what I'm getting to, the point I'm getting to is you can work to become a persuasive person and sell your brand well and still maintain a decent amount of morals and ethics. And
yeah,
I think doing that is the long way round. It is the long way round. But if you are going to do it the other way around, like I guess Luke has done in terms of sell out your morals and ethics to a degree, if you're going to take that approach, I would also say that you've got to realize that it's very expensive to fix it further down the line. And I guess people are saying Luke without not knowing who Luke is, but you'll see. He'll be on here one day. You know which Luke is. I guess we're planting the seed. We're planting the seeds for a future episode, and you know exactly which Luke it is, and then we can call out this episode so people can come back to it. Yeah. Ultimately, is that game, isn't it? Is do you want to get your quick win now and spend a lot of money fixing it later, or do you just want to do it the long play now? And just enjoy the wins later and just be known for being a good, because it's very unlikely. I'm touching wood, and I hope the world stays this way. But it's very unlikely that you get cancelled for being a good person.
Oh God, can you imagine?
And like, I'm saying that now, knowing that Lord knows what the future has to hold. Like, imagine you get cancelled for being too much of a bank man.
To be fair though, it's like, you know, when like some people will. I know that there's differences depending on how it's done, and it's usually is a case by case. Just going to put that as a preface before what I'm going to say.
I don't know what you're going to say.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
You better be ready to edit this.
No, it's not that bad. But it's like, you know, when people will like give a lot of money to charity and then like record it,
right?
And then like, or like they'll give food to homeless people and record it, but like to the masses, and then people are like, why couldn't you do this? Why do you have to make a video out of it? Da, 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 da. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand both sides of it, and people get stick for actually doing good things online, but I understand both banks. I understand that's true. You shouldn't have to record every single good deed and be like how good I look. However, if it depends on how it's framed, because if it's like to raise awareness for X, Y, and Z, that's completely different. So I understand both banks of it, but yeah, I understand what you're saying with like the being.
Oh, that brings a really good point. Because we've talked about how selling something to someone, sometimes you have to convince them it's their idea. I feel like there's another camp of like services and goods that you can actually just ask someone to participate in and directly ask them to do, and it actually sells well. And I think charity is one of those ones. But I think it's because in that way, charity is almost like the cost or the quality of the service doesn't play a part It's the act of actually interacting with the service or the act of actually purchasing the product itself. It's the product people want. So in its own way, I guess it's coercive because you're getting people to embrace the fact that they want to be the hero of the story and they want to be better than someone. And I think that's how charity sells well. It's look at these unfortunate people. It's the Oxfam advert. That's a really good example. It's like, look at all these unfortunate people that you're better than. Do you want to like put money to exemplify how much better you are than them? Do you want to pay so then, you can recognize and we can recognize that you're in a way better position? And deep down, people might have their own personal reasons to kind of say, oh, like I used to be in that position, I used to be homeless and now I'm doing better, I'm paying. Either way, whether you're doing it for an egotistical reason, whether you're doing it for, a very kind-hearted reason, whatever it is, you're doing it because you're better than that person you're giving money to. You're not in a lesser place than them. And I think those are one of the few brands where you can be directly honest about your intentions and you can still sell well. And I think that's because you are playing into what someone wants anyway, which is for you to basically admit that they're too good for you and it's the kindness of their own heart that they're using to kind of pay you or get you to do something. Most other things, you're trying to highlight the quality and the quality of the product or service and why it's so beneficial to them. So you can't really play into the whole, I'm an idiot, I'm beneath you, please buy my product, because they're not buying it because it's good. They're buying it because you've let them feel like they're better than you. Whereas in charity, you are saying, hey, please, sir, please buy this. You're an amazing person. And people just buy into it. So I think that's one of the few ventures you can dive into where you can be just blatantly beggy. And it's okay.
I hear what you're saying. I think to go down a different route as well, I think everyone to an extent needs to have some sort of persuasive skills because
100%.
going off my recent job interviews, I was basically preparing to be as persuasive as possible as to why I could get a job. And I studied to prove it. Like, and it was from the things of like, I was looking up I knew who my interviewer was for the interview. It's like, I looked into every single post that they ever made on LinkedIn so I can basically figure out their entire personality. I went onto YouTube, saw what videos they were talking about, if they're like a senior leadership, because there's going to be videos, saw what they posted, saw what they commented on. And it's like, okay, I now know the things that you care about, and now I'm going to mention them in the interview because I know they're important to you. And so that's going to make me seem more relatable to you and build that connection. And then you're going to like me. And then I'm going to say about how good I am about the job because I already studied about it. And it's true though. But like, I went down to that very sort of like, bro, I felt like Joe Goldberg at some point. Like, it was actually kind of mad. It was actually bad. I was like, hello, you're going to interview me and you're going to like me and I'm going to get this job and you're going to think I'm amazing because I know what things that matter to you. Yeah, like, I went down to that level because it's not about at that point when your foot's in the door. Yeah, of course I did. I got the job, didn't I? Cool. But it's like,
Straight facts.
it's not about like saying how good you are about the job. That's about 30% of it. Most of it is, do they like you?
Yeah.
And you got to understand, okay, what personalities are you working with?
Yeah.
And so now I know what kind of personality you are. I'm going to completely code switch to make you like me.
Oh, there's some, okay, here's the other thing. Maybe we should write our rules of persuasion as well. There's one of the most important things to persuade, and it's actually in the 48 Laws of Power, it's mimicking other people's traits.
Yeah, so when they do this.
Yeah.
And then you do this.
I do it to a point where I think even sometimes my accent changes. Like if I'm talking to Americans or someone, I can hear myself adding American twangs into what I'm saying. And I'm just like, why am I doing this? Or like you tell stories that align with them, or you tell jokes that you think they'll get. And it's normal it's definitely normal if you're a very like people person and you're extroverted and all these things. It's normal. But for some people, it doesn't come naturally. And sometimes it shows. It really shows. Like let's say when you're at school and you've got this like really old school teacher that like comes up and goes to Wagwan or something like that. Or like they try to align, like me, I guess, when I hang around with my proper London friends. And then like, I try to like talk hood and then they're just looking at me like, Sam, no. It's like, this isn't you. This isn't you.
Like, Sam, you're in a polo neck.
Sam, you're a teddy bear. Like, we know you're a teddy bear. Like, maybe your other friends will believe you, but not us. So there are moments where you get caught out and it's embarrassing. But there is the way I recover is just to embrace my own stupidity and kind of joke out of it. And maybe not stay the idiot in the room for too long, for so long that no one takes you seriously. But for that brief moment, just laugh past it and then just be yourself because you've realized that that character doesn't work anymore. But there is a key role that mimicking plays in persuading people. I think the key role it plays is making people comfortable around you, because you're mimicking characteristics that ultimately they're comfortable with, and that's why they're presenting those characteristics to you. Because in the tribe that they're in, the tribe being either their workplace, the tribe either being their family lives, their friends, all that kind of stuff, they're comfortable enough to speak in that way. So they present themselves to society in that same kind of character and way. So mimicking works. I wouldn't mimic someone who is trying to do a dominance play, though. That's when mimicking doesn't work. So if you're selling to like a business client and they turn up and they're just like, right, let's get to business here. It's like, what are you going to do for me? All these things. And then your response is, right, you know what are you going to do for me? You know what, like, how are you going to spend money? You come across as a joke. Like, you just come across as like, are you taking the piss out of me? What are you doing here? Yeah. And like, there's sometimes where you don't mimic, you do the opposite. So if you really want to sell someone, they come like, right, what are you going to do for me? And then I still maintain the pace. So I mimic the way they're speaking, but not necessarily the tone or language they're using. So if someone comes in and it's like, I used to do this a lot when I was selling as a CSM. It's like, if someone comes in and is like, right, we've not got much time. I've got this budget. I want to achieve this. How can you do it? My item is like, right, okay, I've got this for you. These are the graphs. These are the items. And I'm quickly, I speak at a rate that matches their pace. I'm still like my calm, managed sound. I'm speaking facts. I'm speaking to the point. When someone approaches me in a direct manner, in my head, it's go straight to the point. Do not waffle. This is not a time to ask about the weather or how the dogs or cats are doing. Just go straight to the point. But you can still do that and still maintain some kind of like subdued manner. Because ultimately, if you're not trying to say you're better than them, you're never going to sell to them like that. You're trying to say that, oh, I'm actually really helpful. I'm really like, I can be your, I want to say, I can be your B, like I can be your bitch. Bleep it out, because I feel like our YouTube, I feel like our YouTube analytics has been suffering the amount of swearing we do on here. But yeah, I could be, basically it's like, I can be your bitch. Like, I can do that for you. Don't worry, because I don't care. What I care about is you being a repeat customer and you coming back. I know when I go home, I'm not your bitch. I know when the day's done and I get my bonus for selling this to you, I am definitely not. And I know if you talk to me like that outside work and you weren't a paid client, it would be a way different conversation. But right now, my goal is to sell to you. And I might make a few character sacrifices to get that done. There are limits to it, but I think that's something people need to embrace, is sometimes mimicking doesn't mean being exactly like them. Mimicking means playing the character that they want you to be, or the character that you sense they want you to be. So the alternative would be, sometimes you get very subdued clients who are very like, hey, I really need your help with something. And like, I'm really struggling. And then in those, like, I fully take my time. I fully embrace what's going on. I'll do the whole like, okay, how you doing? Like, don't worry, I've got you. We'll do this together. We'll sort it out together. Because my goal, I still want to sell. I still want to do a good job. I realized that I can actually be a calm-mannered person in this position, and we don't need to race to get to the finish line. We can pace it out. And I'll say why I do all of these, why I care so much about how people talk, why I care so much about how to mimic and respond to people in the way I want. It's because I like repeat customers.
Yeah.
I don't want to just sell once and have it done. If you sell once to someone and it's worked well and they don't come back, all you've proven to yourself is they really needed that product or service at that time enough to tolerate your nonsense. But they probably won't come back because they'll find someone else who can give it to them in a better manner.
Yeah.
So you've got to consider that as well when you're thinking about convincing people.
Yeah. I think there's times where when you persuade as well, you got to know when to kind of like put your foot down with bigger personalities as well. Because in times when I'm going back to salespeople, when I know 100% for a fact, I know more about the product than they do. And I know exactly how it works because I'm the only one they have to rely on. And so there'll be a salesperson be like, oh, we need to do this. We need to apply this. And the client asks for this. And I'll look at them and be like, this isn't going to work. They'll be like, no, it has to work. Make it work for the client. I'll be like, listen, I've done hundreds of campaigns. I'm in and out of this every single day. I've seen many, many examples of this, and I've been asked this many, many times. And here's what we can do. Here's my recommendation of what will actually work for your client based off what you said to me. That is an alternative for them that will work. We can do that. If you are adamant that this will work, here's what's going to happen, and this is be the fallout of it. You will have to take responsibility of this failing if you can't convince your client to do otherwise, or you have to tell the client that this is the risk that comes with it. So basically, because when sales sell something and I go, oh, this is for you to do now, I'll be like, okay, well, I know that's not going to work, so I'm not going to do it unless you take full responsibility to your client and tell them that this is the risk if they go about it that way. And sure enough, they'll usually say they're going to do it their way once, and it goes awfully wrong. And I don't go out my way to try and fix a terrible situation that I told them was going to happen, because these are the consequences of their actions. Then, like a little toddler, next time they come in between my legs, and then they will listen to me. So, in order to persuade someone, you sometimes got to let them take the hit and make them realize that they were wrong. And in that moment, I then don't tell them I told you so. I let them come to me with the solution that I said. And I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to do it this way then. It's like when you have your mate who says like, oh, it takes 20 minutes to get here. And it's like, oh, no, it doesn't actually. It takes 40 minutes to get there because I looked it up. And they're like, no, it takes 20. And then they go, okay, fine. It takes 40 minutes to get there. And I know I'm right. And I'm just going to be like, I can't wait till we get there in about an hour's time. And then you're going to Google it. And so and you're telling everyone it takes 20 minutes. And because you put your foot down, you think people are going to believe you. Then we get there. And it's like, oh, it's 40 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's 40 minutes. Let's go. This is the route. I know this because I looked this up earlier. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait till it's my time. And this has happened many times before.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can't let people persuade. You got to make them realize that they're stupid, but that point comes later. And then they're persuaded. And then you'll be there. Just look at them like, you see?
You love a good I told you so, don't you? You love a good I told you so.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, Sam. Here's the thing. I know I'm not good at a lot of things, right? So when I tell you that I know something, and when I tell you I'm right, I usually am 99 times out of 100. And I can raise my hand somebody and go, oh, you know what? I actually got it wrong, my bad. But some people can't do that. And those people are the ones who I always are the funny people to do.
Enjoy it the most, yeah.
Yeah, because I can dig a bit when I'm wrong. Because I know that I wouldn't tell you something that I'm not 100% sure about and tell you it's fact when I'm not sure about it, because that's just misinformation. It's fake news. Yeah.
Fair.
So when I tell you, oh no, it's 100% this. If I get it wrong, I'll be like, you know what, that's my bad, and I will call myself out on it way before anybody else does. I don't wait to be called out on my own bullshit. I'll call myself out first. So I enjoy I told you so, and this happens regularly. And Rosie, I know you're listening, and it happens with you as well, and she knows it does, and she hates it.
You're going to be sleeping on your own a lot in this new place. that sofa in your living room in that new place is going to just see you the whole night. Every night.
It'll be fine.
We've touched on how to persuade. I think the other part is when to persuade. Because obviously we don't need to when to persuade, I think is key thing. And we obviously don't need to really touch on why it's important to persuade, because you're obviously persuading someone to do something because you want them to do something that you want them to do. That's effectively what you're doing. And I guess this episode is our approach at a masterclass or a 101 of how to persuade people in many ways. But I think it's important to also touch on when it's actually best to try and persuade someone. And I think there's always in life, when we talk to people, what is it? We've got the id, the ego, and what is it? Super ego or something. I don't know what those terms is. It's like the psychology thing. Either way, at every point in your life, your ego is there at play or trying to have its play time, trying to be seen and trying to be heard. And in many ways, I think people try to persuade as kind of an ego play, just to be right mostly, but to be seen as like a significant figure in a communication or in a situation. I think I think it all depends on what product you're trying to sell and the value of the product compared to the effort you're going to put into selling it. As simple as that. So I'll put an example forward of a Unidays marketing campaign, which is one of my best examples of selling, because it's in a previous lifetime, and giving away secrets around that won't mean anything to what I do now. So I like to use Unidays as an example. So sorry to anyone who works at Unidays. I'm not throwing you on the bus. I'm throwing Unidays Sam on the bus, right? Don't worry about you. Your job is safe. Your company's fine. So previously when I used to sell campaigns, sometimes I'd be so fixated on being right about what I've suggested that I'd only care about selling like this tiny position in an email. It's because I set my goal to get rid of that newsletter slot that someone else cancelled on, and now I've got to give it to someone else because I've already booked the slot. I've already told marketing it's a really important slot I need to use, and now I need to actually use it, or I look like an idiot. And I'll put so much effort in a campaign or in like presentation to a client that I'm like, oh, you can do this email slot. This email slot would really help you, blah blah. And sometimes I think back to moments like that, and I think if I just shut up for a moment, didn't join the call and just thought about it, really, it's like, was it worth convincing people that that was an important thing? Was it the right product to sell at that time? And was that product worth persuading someone to take? When realistically, I probably could have convinced them to buy 12 other on-site placements that eventually would have been worth more than the email campaign to the company. You get what I mean? Like this one email slot I was trying to sell, that's worth like what, 500 quid or something at the time. I could have sold like 12 other marketing slots elsewhere that would have together made way over £1,000. But because I was so fixated on selling this one slot, I kind of screwed myself over. And it plays a part in what's worth persuading and when is it best to persuade and what's the value of it. I think the right time to persuade someone to buy something is when you know that that product or service is truly beneficial to them. It's truly beneficial to that customer, or you know
Yeah,
it's worth the effort. And when I
absolutely.
say if it's not beneficial to the customer, you've got to think to yourself, who is it actually benefiting me selling this product or service?
Yeah.
Who is it actually helping? And if it's helping me
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of my life plan of success, how is it helping that? If it's helping prove that I'm amazing, how does me being amazing help me towards promotion? How does it all end up at the financial reason why I wake up at 9 or wherever it is to sit at this desk and get talked down to by a bunch of idiots? Why?
Bro, it's actually so real because this is my last job. The product I was selling or working on was shit. And I remember doing these reports and like all these shitty benchmarks, which start with 0 point click through or whatever. And I'm like, this is shit. Why do I have to persuade them that this campaign's good? If you're like, oh, you got all these million impressions, but 100 people clicked on it and maybe one converted, and this is why it's really good. And I'm like, I feel like I'm like, I'm like fishing them. Like it feels like I'm just like absolutely like just robbing them. And I'm just like, I'm not feeling good about this because I know what I'm saying is pure shit. And I'm being forced to say how it's good when I don't believe that it's actually something that's worth anybody's time. And it's better off being spent at Google or literally any other platform. But because I'm here, I have to be the corporate, like, yes, it's amazing. And like, now that, and it was so good when I could finally drop that guard. And we were like, oh, how was it when you work in there? And I'm like, then I let the, I'm still playing it down like in my new role, but people are getting like hints of trauma from me and the other colleague who also joins. And I'm like, we haven't even touched the surface.
Are you working with someone that used to work in your old company with you?
Yeah. So we both joined within 2 days of each other.
Damn.
But yeah, she was one of the people I actually like working with, so it's actually good.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're both
That's like,
designed.
yeah, because I would, yeah, we're both just like venting. We not venting, but like we just let like little teasers for like a work drinks when I'm like a year in and it's like safe. So, but yeah, it's no secret that we didn't enjoy it there. And they'll be like, I'm not being funny. Like you're now seeing so many people from LinkedIn who have moved elsewhere, but so it's not just me. It's a shared movement. So, but yeah, I think it's good though to have some sort of persuasion tools in your arsenal, because I think it does push you as well. It can be good, like for how to win and influence people, but it can be used for evil, like 48 Laws of Power, which is banned in prison.
Can't believe that as actually banned
because that's like manipulating.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Hey, I feel confident. I feel stronger by being in a more dominant position. Okay, that's why I read it.
There is actually some really there's some good.
If you take away like if you try to be more Batman and less Lex Luthor, it's actually all right. If like embrace the power it brings you and the fear you can put into others and use it.
Yin and yang. You gotta have
use it for good. It's fine, but you've got like your bold super villain head on, and you basically the list of tech CEOs that went to the inauguration. If you've got that, if you've got that look about you, don't read his book, right? The world doesn't need more versions of you. We need good people in this world. But yeah, I think that honestly brings us to a nice, comfortable ending. I just want to summarize on when to persuade someone. I think a good summary for that is it's worth persuading someone to buy into a product when the value outweighs the effort of what you're trying to persuade them to do. That's when it's worth doing. The value could be you need to keep your job. You need to pay bills. The value could be that your business really needs this. And if you consider it and you're considering that, okay, it's really helpful and this is really valuable, there's none of the effort it is to do, then you've got to consider, okay, is there another approach that's more valuable and requires equal or less effort to do? And I think that's where you slowly bring yourself towards seeing the value in being an ethical and moral person when you're trying to persuade someone. And sometimes you can give out a good product and still be a good person. And I think that comes with heaps and bounds way more value than it does to convince someone to buy a crappy product and basically watching them sink and burn because they won't come back again once they work it out. Because people might not be quick to pick up on when they're getting scammed, but they're smart enough and reactive enough to know better and avoid getting scammed again. I'll leave it there.
Cool. Sam, you did the intro, do the outro.
Do the outro. Thank you very much for listening to the world's best podcast with Sam and Lewis. You've had us on Evolve Podcast. Check out Lewis's Instagram, Zander Studio. Is that how you say it, Lewis?
Zander Studios.
Yep, Zander Studios. There's probably links somewhere in the description if you watch it on YouTube. Probably the same thing as well if you're watching it on Spotify. If it's not, Lewis is a bad marketing person. He should be fired and he should be doing better. I hope his bosses are listening. Check out our website, thepodcastevolve.com. Check out our Instagram, the podcast Evolve, and I guess TikTok as well, the podcast Evolve. On Spotify, I think we're just called Evolve, and there's quite a few copycats. If you want to find us, either look up the podcast Evolve on Spotify. My ADHD will kick in, and I'll change the name randomly to that. Even that, just look up Samuel Grantson and Lewis Facey on Spotify. You'll find us. This is true on YouTube.
Out of all the Evolve podcasts, I think we have the most episodes now. So we actually do.
Yeah, all the other scammers came.
The other ones are dormant as fuck. Like
exactly. So
this is episode 41.
This is 41.
So, we're at 40s now. Jesus,
we're nearly the ultimate 52. You know, we're gonna have to switch this up and actually pay for studio time.
Already we actually do.
It's going to get there. I'm going to be in London more often anyway, so we'll be doing that. Yes, guys, we're changing things up. It's a new year. We're going to be doing a lot more fun stuff. We're evolving too, so we're taking on board suggestions, how we can do things better. I am taking on board suggestions and making notes of what we can do better on our website. I know it's dormant, and I know it's been stuck on episode 27 for God knows how long. I will update it eventually. Let's just focus on Sam being a better person, putting content on social media, right? Let's focus on the wins. It's all about persuasion today, and what brings more value compared to the effort is social media. So don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube as well, and don't forget to follow us on Spotify. That is me done, Lewis. That was the longest outro, but I do love hearing my own voice. I'll catch you. We will catch you guys again soon. Next Monday, I believe.
Yeah, next Monday. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.